If this message found you, pause for a second, because what your body has been trying to tell you is not weakness. It is not failure. It is not a sign that something is wrong with you. It is initiation. And in the next few minutes, you will discover 7 physical signs that God is actively preparing you for a level of divine overflow you have not yet been able to imagine. There is a language your body speaks before your mind is ready to understand it. A language that does not come from exhaustion alone, or from stress, or from the ordinary weight of life. It comes from a deeper place. It comes from the invisible work of preparation that God does in a person before elevation. Most people misread this language. They call it burnout. They call it depression. They call it confusion. But chosen ones, those who have been set apart for something they cannot yet fully see, chosen ones learn to recognize it for what it truly is. In this video, you will discover 7 physical signs that your body sends when God is actively repositioning you for divine overflow. Not overflow that is far away. Not overflow that requires you to be someone different, but the overflow that was written into your assignment before you were born. Stay with this message, because the sign you almost scrolled past may be the confirmation your spirit has been waiting for. Before we go into the first sign, if something in you already feels like this message was not accidental, comment 777 below right now as a sign that you receive it by faith today. Let that be your declaration before the overflow even arrives. The first sign is this: a tiredness that does not respond to rest. You sleep 8 hours and wake up feeling as though you have not slept at all. You take days off and return feeling heavier than when you left. The world calls this burnout. Medicine calls it adrenal fatigue. But there is a third explanation, one that science does not measure. When God is dismantling an old version of you to make room for the elevated one, the process requires energy. Not your energy alone, but the energy of transformation itself moving through your physical body. The tiredness you feel is not your body failing. It is your body working. It is the labor that precedes the birth. It was never about your stamina. It was about your surrender. The chosen ones who have walked through seasons of divine preparation often describe the same thing: a heaviness that lifted the moment they stopped fighting the process. The moment they recognized that what felt like depletion was actually expansion. The overflow began. The second sign is a withdrawal, not one you planned, but one that happened to you. Friendships that once felt effortless now feel forced. Conversations that once energized you now feel hollow. You find yourself pulling away from environments you used to love, without guilt, without explanation, without knowing why. This is not loneliness. This is discernment. Your spirit knows something your mind has not yet articulated, that the next chapter of your life cannot be built in the same room as the previous one. The relationships that cannot enter the new season are not being taken from you as punishment. They are being released from you as protection. What looked like isolation was actually insulation. God was not removing your community. He was removing the interference so you could hear the instructions clearly. You were not being abandoned. You were being separated, set apart for something the crowd around you was not yet prepared to carry. The third sign is a restlessness in places, habits, and situations that once brought you comfort. The job that once felt stable now feels like a ceiling. The routine that once felt safe now feels like a cage. The version of yourself you performed for others, the agreeable one, the smaller one, the one who never asked for too much. That version no longer fits. And that discomfort is not ingratitude. It is not instability. It is holy dissatisfaction. Holy dissatisfaction is what God uses to move a person who would not otherwise move. Comfort is a powerful anchor. And the only thing strong enough to break its hold is an ache that is deeper than the comfort itself. If you have felt increasingly out of place in your own life, pay attention. That restlessness is not a malfunction. It is a compass. It is your assignment pulling you in a direction your current circumstances cannot contain. The discomfort was not random. It was directional. You have recognized 3 signs so far, but the next 4, these are the ones that chosen ones most often miss, because they do not feel like preparation. They feel like contradiction. Stay with this. The 4th sign is a heightened sensitivity that arrived without warning. Things that once did not move you now bring you to tears. Words land differently. The suffering of others feels closer. Beauty feels more intense. You cry during music, during silence, during moments that seem too ordinary to matter. This is not weakness. This is expansion. When a person is being prepared for greater spiritual wealth, for the kind of abundance that carries responsibility, God first deepens their capacity to feel. Because you cannot steward what you cannot sense. You cannot carry a weight of blessing you have never been trained to hold. Your sensitivity is not a liability. It is preparation. It is your emotional and spiritual range being stretched to match the overflow that is coming. What felt like fragility was actually formation. The 5th sign is perhaps the most disorienting of all. A strange, unexplainable peace in the middle of circumstances that should produce panic. Your situation has not changed. The uncertainty is still there. The unanswered questions remain unanswered. And yet, somewhere beneath the noise, there is a stillness that does not make sense. This is not denial. This is not naivety. This is the peace that surpasses understanding. The kind that does not arrive because the storm is over, but because something in your spirit already knows the outcome. Chosen ones who are close to their breakthrough often describe this: a deep, cellular knowing that what is coming is good, even before there is a single visible sign that it is. That peace is not passive. It is prophetic. It is your spirit receiving what your eyes have not yet seen. The 6th sign is a recurring sense, a nudge, a word, a vision, a phrase that returns again and again, no matter how many times you dismiss it. It may be a direction you feel called to move in, a creation you feel called to bring forward, a conversation you feel called to begin. And every time you bury it, it resurfaces. Every time you reason it away, it returns. This is not obsession. This is assignment. God does not repeat himself without purpose. The thing that keeps returning to you, the thing that will not leave you alone, is returning because it belongs to you. Because it is part of the code that was written into your life before you arrived here. You were not meant to carry it forever without acting on it. You were meant to recognize it and step forward. It was never just an idea. It was always an instruction. The 7th sign is the most quiet and the most powerful. It is a knowing, not a hope, not a wish, a knowing, a sense deep in your spirit that something is shifting, that a door is about to open, that the season that has been pressing you is preparing to release you. You cannot prove it. You cannot point to any external evidence, but it is there, steady, unmistakable, growing. That knowing is not self-deception. In chosen ones who are positioned at the edge of their breakthrough, it is often the first signal that the overflow has already been released in the spirit and is simply traveling toward you in the natural. You are not behind. You are not forgotten. You are not being bypassed. You were being prepared, not overlooked. The signs in your body were never symptoms of something wrong. They were signals of something divine. If you recognized yourself in even one of these 7 signs, this message was not accidental. The exhaustion that could not be explained, the isolation that chose you, the restlessness in places that once felt like home, the sensitivity that arrived uninvited, the peace that made no logical sense, the call that would not go silent, the knowing that something is about to shift. None of it was random. All of it was preparation. You were not marked for lack. You were not created to live beneath your calling. You were prepared through every season that felt like punishment and every silence that felt like abandonment, for spiritual wealth, divine timing, and a level of abundance that matches the fullness of your assignment. The divine overflow is not coming. For the chosen ones who have endured the preparation, it is already in motion. It is already done. If this message spoke directly to you, comment 777 below as a sign that you receive it by faith today. And as you step into this next season, stay close to DAC channel. Subscribe now and like this video so we can keep unlocking divine abundance code together.